While many countries are battling inflation, rising living costs, and volatile energy markets, an unusual story is unfolding behind the scenes. In a world where currencies weaken and central banks scramble to raise interest rates, one nation is quietly becoming wealthier. Not through innovation, not through technology, and not through energy exports alone, but through gold. And the architect of this transformation is not a billionaire oligarch or a military strategist. It is a calm, analytical woman whose approach has reshaped Russia's financial position and surprised even veteran economists. Her name is Elvira Nabiullina. Introducing Elvira Nabiullina. Elvira Nabiullina, governor of the Central Bank of Russia, has long been recognized as the key figure who stabilized Russia's economy after multiple crises. She controlled inflation, restored monetary confidence, and earned respect on global financial stages. But beyond the headlines, a deeper story was unfolding, one that remained largely invisible until the world's financial systems came under stress. While markets chased interest rates, bond yields, and digital assets, Nabiullina turned to something the modern financial world often overlooked: physical gold. Her idea was simple but profound. If global assets can be blocked, monitored, or influenced, gold remains one of the last forms of value that is completely independent. The first major test. 2014. The turning point arrived in 2014. As geopolitical tensions rose and sanctions were introduced, the Russian economy entered its most turbulent period in decades. Oil prices, the foundation of Russia's revenue, fell from over $100 per barrel to nearly half. The ruble lost close to 50% of its value. ATM lines stretched across city streets as citizens rushed to secure their savings. In the middle of this crisis, Nabiullina made a move that stunned financial markets worldwide. Overnight, she raised the key interest rate from 10.5% to 17%. It was a dramatic intervention, but it prevented a collapse of the ruble. It was also the moment when Nabiullina and President Vladimir Putin agreed on a critical long-term conclusion. A financial system dominated by the US dollar can be influenced by political decisions. The birth of Fortress Russia. From that realization, the strategy known as Fortress Russia began to take shape. Its goal was clear: build a financial framework strong enough to withstand isolation from Western markets. Nabiullina began unwinding Russia's exposure to US debt. In 2010, Russia held $176 billion in US Treasury bonds. By 2018, that figure had fallen to almost zero. Where did the reallocated resources go? Into gold bars stored within Russian territory. Gold as a strategic asset. At a time when many Western institutions viewed gold as outdated, Russia embraced it as a form of national insurance. According to IMF data, within 6 years, Russia's gold reserves doubled, exceeding 2,200 tons, placing the country among the top holders globally. This created a financial shield with two layers: a large stockpile of foreign currency, a massive reserve of physical gold, immune to freezing, seizure, or external influence. But the true test of the strategy would come nearly a decade later. 2022, a global financial shock. In 2022, the global shock arrived. As tensions escalated, Western governments implemented a sweeping financial reaction, including freezing more than $300 billion of Russia's foreign reserves. It was the largest action of its kind in modern history. The ruble fell sharply. Inflation spiked. ATM lines reappeared, echoing the scenes of 2014, but now on a far greater scale. Crisis management under pressure. Nabiullina appeared on national television wearing a black outfit, without her usual brooch, a symbolic gesture that the situation was exceptionally serious. She then entered a period of intense crisis management. Interest rates were raised to 20%. Capital controls were implemented. Exporters were required to convert 80% of foreign currency earnings into rubles. Against all expectations, the ruble rebounded. Financial markets regained stability. The economy continued to function, but the effort took a toll, and 6 months later, Nabiullina submitted her resignation. Putin declined it. A new mandate. Elvira, Russia needs you, at least for one more term. Understanding the weight of the moment, she agreed. Her role shifted from financial reformer to the central figure defending the country's monetary stability. And with that, she launched the next phase of her strategy, turning natural resources into gold. Under the new approach, increasing amounts of revenue from oil and gas began flowing into physical gold. This became the foundation of what analysts soon labeled Russia's gold fortress. Laws were amended rapidly. The 20% VAT on gold purchases was removed so citizens could buy gold easily, encouraging them to hold physical assets instead of US dollars. A closed domestic gold cycle. Nearly all gold mined in Russia, especially from Siberia and the Far East, was purchased by the state. The gold was stored in secure vaults located in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Yekaterinburg. None of it passed through international exchanges. None of it left the country. This closed-loop system is something Western countries cannot easily replicate. Germany, Italy, and others hold large gold reserves, but much of that gold is stored abroad, primarily in New York. Russia's gold lies entirely within its borders. Shadows and unreported gold flows. Analysts believe Russia may hold more gold than officially reported. Some transactions may flow through partners such as UAE, Turkey, or Kazakhstan, where gold can change ownership without appearing on global tracking systems. Some may even be tied to energy or bilateral agreements in Asia. This opaque gold ecosystem became part of the larger financial shield Nabiullina built. 2022-2023. A global wake-up call. When Western governments froze Russia's foreign reserves, they unintentionally sent a powerful message to the rest of the world. If this can happen to Russia, it could happen to others. Large economies, including China, India, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Singapore, and Poland, took notice. Confidence in the dollar as the world's default safe asset weakened. The search for an alternative began. The central bank gold rush. Central banks around the world accelerated their gold purchases. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than at any point in the past 7 decades. The World Gold Council reported that in 2022 alone, central banks purchased over 1,080 tons of gold, the highest figure since 1950. Russia, meanwhile, reduced exports and kept nearly all mined gold within the country. Gold reclaims its throne, with supply tightening and demand rising. Gold regained its status as the ultimate safe asset. From early 2022 to mid-2024, gold prices surged more than 40%, reaching historic highs above $2,400 per ounce. Few countries benefited more from this than Russia. Silent gains. Russia purchased much of its gold when it cost roughly $1,200 to $1,300 per ounce. With prices nearly doubling, the unrealized gains amount to hundreds of billions of dollars. These increases help offset a significant share of the frozen reserves. It is a strategy built on patience rather than active confrontation. Every global financial shock made the fortress stronger. A strategic paradox. Ironically, the same restrictions designed to weaken Russia created the conditions that pushed countries toward gold, thereby strengthening Nabiullina's long-term strategy. Higher inflation in Europe and the United States, rising interest rates, and banking instability made gold increasingly attractive. Each crisis highlighted the limits of the modern financial system. The long-term significance Nabiullina's approach is now studied by policymakers and analysts worldwide. She demonstrated that in an age of digital finance, algorithmic trading, and rapid capital flows, physical gold remains a powerful strategic tool. Her legacy remains debated. To her critics, she protected a system under pressure. To her supporters, she built a financial shield that may define Russia's economic future for decades. gold in a changing global order. As geopolitical tensions rise and markets become more fragile, many countries now see value in diversifying their reserves. Some no longer view the dollar as a completely neutral asset. Others are exploring gold-backed trade mechanisms, regional currencies, and bilateral arrangements. In this shifting environment, Russia's early move toward gold looks less like an anomaly and more like a preview of a larger global realignment. Today, as uncertainty spreads across financial markets, one question grows louder. Is the world entering a new monetary era, one in which gold returns to the center of global finance? For Russia, the answer is already clear. But for the rest of the world, the debate has only just begun. What do you think? Is this the beginning of a long-term shift away from traditional reserve assets, or simply a temporary response to global volatility?